We've been getting a lot of storms here in the last couple of weeks, and on a daily basis. We had hail and strong winds and lightning. And this tree, we had a storm yesterday. This tree got hit by lightning, brought it down. So I'm going to utilise it. I'm going to cut it off there and down here somewhere. And I'm going to turn that into a shelf. And that shelf's going to go in my shelter, which you can see up through the back there. So I don't have far to take it, but there's a fair bit of work to actually get it from here to there once I process it all up. But I'm going to make a shelf above the fireplace in the shelter. So that's what this video is about. Thanks for watching. Let's get into it. Alright, so let me show you how this is all going to go together. As you can see, I've got my fireplace, and then up above it I've got this clay wall. In this clay wall I've got timber, and this is where these come in. So that's going to get lashed off onto the timber. So if you imagine there's going to be two of those, one down that end as well, and then the shelf will sit on top of them. Something like that. I just make this stuff up as I go. It's so humid here. It's feels about 90% humidity, but it's probably about 70, but it's still quite high. So this is what I've got. I've got two forked branches. I've got this one big lump of wood, and then a couple of little rails. Get all the bark off these, flatten this out, get the bark off it, and see what I'm left with. And the work begins. Right, so when you're working with timber, especially here in Australia, you gotta be careful where you put your hands. Right here. Right here is a centipede. So he blends in pretty well. As you can see, definitely a little centipede, and they live underneath the bark. I just got to be careful when I'm working with the bark constantly, and yeah, make sure I don't grab hold of anything that's going to poison me. So I've got it flattened. As you can see, kind of flattened. Now I'm not worrying too much about this end because it's longer than what I need. So I only need it to be about there somewhere. So all I need is this section here. I'm sure I'll eventually get splinters off this thing, but hopefully not today. Now I've just got to put it up on the wall, see where I need it, mark it, cut it. Right, so I've got myself a bit of charcoal out of the fireplace, and then what I'm going to do, I can simply cut out a couple of notches out in there. But if I cut that out, that'll wedge it into this fork. So imagine the fork going in where I just marked that. So once I have that wedged in there like that, I can then take one of these rails that I've collected, lash that off across the top there. That stops this moving up and down, and it can't move forward and back because of those notches. And it also stops this from splaying out more from the weight and breaking. So it's a win-win-win. Win. Alright, time kind of got away from me yesterday, so it's a it's a new day. That's alright. So I've got those notched out. Got my my forks and my little rail things all cut, ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is lash it on here, get it all set up. That way. And once I've got this all lashed together out here, I'll then take it inside, prop it up on the wall and lash it to the wall. Now I've got to take it all apart so I can move the camera and get a better angled shot. The whole trick is to make it look like you've got like 6 cameras set up when you've actually only got one. Alright, so I've got that lashed off, but what you'll notice straight away is everything is pretty loose. Now, I lashed this end off first. I went in and tried it out on the wall. The thing is, the wall isn't perfectly flat. It's not like a house. And I've got clay and sticks and stuff all over the place. And the other thing too is these forks aren't equal. So what happens is you put it on the wall and one end might end up like that, whereas the other end might be flat. So by not caring too much about the lashing here and having these big gaps so everything's nice and loose, what that allows me to do then is take this in, lash it to the wall, and then cut wedges and drive wedges in underneath here where I need it. So whether I need it at the front to twist it back that way, or I need it at the back to twist it forward, and I can do the same to that end, and that locks everything in nice and tight, but it also gets everything level, and I can adjust those wedges, bang them in further and get it all nice. So that's that. I've now got to try to hold it up on the wall while I lash it off. So I think I'm going to need to go out and cut a couple of long poles that I can prop underneath it to hold it up on the wall, and then start lashing. I don't know if you can pick that up, but it's pretty level right there, but then it twists away, so I need to really twist that back out and wedge it in there once I get it lashed to the wall. This is what I'm saying, the wall is uneven because it's all, you've got these upright bits which aren't level with each other, then it's all woven with branches through there, and then you've got clay on it, and so it's never going to be schmick. Alright, I'll get this lashed off, which is going to be a task in itself because I've got to try to wrap around this pole, but then I've got all this palm fronds behind it, and I've got to get it lashed on tight enough that it's not going to move around and fall off the wall. Happy days. Right, so that's all lashed off. As you can see, that shelf is quite twisted. This end's not too bad, but what I can do, as I said, is drive wedges in there, which will twist that, hopefully twist that. Otherwise I'm going to look a bit silly if I've gone through this whole video saying, oh, I'll just bang a wedge in there and it'll straighten everything out. If I can't actually do it now, it's going to be a bit, yeah. If that happens, and for some reason I can't do it, or if you guys are doing it and you can't get it to work, I can always take a knife, cut more off that just to level it up. Now that's on there. It's only from here through to there, so it's only like a half a metre. But anyway, I'm going to cut some wedges. Birds are starting to wake up here this morning, so time for a coffee almost. Well, that's a lot more level. It's still slightly down, but it's a lot better than what it was. So it kind of worked. The other concern is if I wedge that in too much, something's going to break down that end. It's going to maybe put pressure on this limb here and break that out, but it's pretty good. First thing on the shelf. Last thing to do is the dirtiest thing, and that's packing some more clay into these holes that I made through the wall, which is always fun, getting messy with it, just working it in there. Alright, well, there's not much more I can do to it. I'm calling it finished. Thanks for watching.